So, so, hey folks, this is me, Wajih Aslam. I'm the host of this DevSecon India meetup, where we are not just talking about just the Scrum Master's perspective. It's also about thinking as a chaos engineer's perspective. There's a lot going behind everything that we are marketing today about, hey, DevOps is this, DevOps is that. But a Scrum Master is going to really define the way that we are going to rethink how a software SDLC has to flow. And I think it's a perfect mix and match that's going behind with between being a Scrum Master and also tactically thinking about chaos. And I think Wajih Aslam is going to give you an amazing insight, not just to speak about Scrum Master's perspective, but also to give you a lot of insight about how can you really manage and really plan chaos. So I think thank you so much, sir. So let's just go on the shared screen so you can do a slideshow so that you can just get it started.
Thank you, Ishwas. Thank you
Sure,
very
sir.
much for a good introduction. So today I'll talk about mostly about the planning chaos. Like usually, most of the time, everything around us is really very chaotic, and how to do. So it is just beyond the Scrum Master. But in general, what are the mistakes we are doing, and how can we make sure to make it like a good planning ahead? And like I have done some certifications like CSM, CSD, CSPSM, and Scaled Agile Framework certification as well. Other than that, like I believe in agnostic agile. I'm part of that community, and like I believe there is no framework, there is no any process which is like kind of final. So everyone according to their own situations, they have to find out what solution for them will work out. That's how I believe agnostic agile, as well as like I was also part of an agile in Middle East. It's a volunteer based community, and we used to do a lot of like monthly meetups as well as the like yearly conferences. And here's my LinkedIn account. So, okay, so let's move on to the next slide. So, mostly when we are talking about like chaos, so the word which is kind of a buzzword right now is VUCA. It's like volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. So it came from the U.S. Army background. So when there was a Cold War and there was a lot of problem, there was a lot of tension between the U.S. and the Russian army, and that was really very problematic, and nobody knows what will going on. So that's how U.S. Army was working, and they just find out that okay, there's a VUCA world, and that terminology came into it's being coming in the management and other perspectives. So like today's world is VUCA world. Volatile means that okay, the states are not like things are really very volatile. Yesterday it was something else, and today it is something else. So I'll give you one example that like I was reading that like Reed Hastings, the CEO of Netflix, has just said, "You get a show or movie you are really dying to watch, and you end up staying up late at night." So we actually compete with sleep. Like the number one competitor is sleep. It's not any other. So there are other competitors as well, like Amazon and Amazon Prime, as well as like HBO and others. But like actually, they are not the competitor. They are competing with the behavior of a people, which is like things change because they don't compete with the people. Actually, they compete with the real challenges, and they try to find out how to overcome those. So that is the volatility like today's world. Things are uncertain. Like we all see that how this COVID-19 came up and changed the whole world. Most of the companies who were afraid of like working remotely, now they know how to do remote work, and how it became like kind of mature during whole last year. So that's how like things are uncertain, and like you cannot plan ahead much. um, um, and whenever you made any plan, you have to change according to the situation. Also, the world is really very complex most of the time. Like we are dealing with especially building a software, or building a product, it's a complex thing. Like you always have to see how customer is behaving. You need to analyze, you need to so everybody is different, and dealing with people and building a product for them, it's really very complex thing, and also ambiguous as well. Like sometimes we see that quality assurance guys and the developers are keep complaining about these kind of ambiguity, that this is like 6 or this is 9, or or a different perspective. So ambiguity is there. And all these things are around us, and that is called the VUCA world. Okay, so uncertainty is there. So um, that's how in 2001 agile manifesto came in, and like these people, these 17 people who proposed this manifesto, they were they were facing some problems and these uncertainties, and they feel that the traditional way of working will not work, like planning and then analyze and then do the design, then development, then testing, and something goes wrong, and it's a really very big problem for each and everyone. The people to whom you are building for the software, as well as the people who are involved in the building process as well. So that's why they came up with this manifesto, where they said we are uncovering better ways of developing software by doing it and helping others do it. So this came for the software development background, but nowadays, like everywhere, wherever there is any product development or any other work, so people are using this concept, and like if they are applying and they're getting benefit from it. So through this work we have to come to value. Okay, so sometimes you can see that there are 4 points, and all 4 points, there are some things in the left and some things in the right. So I'll um, so like individuals and interaction over process and tools. So it means that process and tools are not bad. So because like this is a kind of a misconception that some people feel that the things in the right are not useful at all. But like the problem is that which one is more important. So individuals and interaction, mostly people are working with each another, and their communication and their collaboration is more important. So any soft process or tool which is helping um, individuals and interaction more easier, or more or with more quality, definitely those process and tools need to be added. And if those process and tools are not helping in this helping individuals and interactions, so those not need to be there. So like I'll give you one example. Like I saw somewhere, like I was working, and there was a very complex product of software development life cycle product, and like there are a lot of documentation. So if you want to write even one line of code, and you are doing lot of documentation and lot of approval, and the tool is really very complex. So I thought, okay, most of our mind should be used for product development, not for exploring the tool. So that's how like these tools need to be built up. Modern days tools are much better. And like after the study, after realizing that the people who are using, so they build, and they always try to learn and improve. So that's how they are better. But previously there are tools like that. Working software over comprehensive documentation. So having comprehensive documentation, um, uh, it's sometimes it's a compliance and you have to do it, that's fine. But other than that, like if you're doing it that you will use it for later, let's suppose instead of like writing complex code and document it. Nobody is going to read those documents. So instead of that, like we need to make sure that our code is speaking itself, and anybody who is working on the same project and maybe working after 1 year, they should be able to understand. So lot of documentation can be and this manifesto suggested document whenever it is required, whenever it is useful, and identify that, and don't do beyond that. So, and working software is important, because previously what happened, that a lot of documentation is there, and let's suppose if I create like use cases and I deliver it to the customer, customer cannot sell it. um, End user cannot get any benefit from those use cases. Okay, these are part of the system, but like for end user, they will only get the quality once the working software will be there, whether it is a small part, whether it is only login, whether it is only functionality to add record, not delete or update. So whatever it is, so like at least we should have working software from the beginning, to make sure this should be the only primary measure of the product increment or product development. And then customer collaboration over contract negotiation. So previously like and that is the very important part of today's talk, is that previously what happened, that we don't collaborate with customer. And like we collaborate in the beginning of the project, and then we start working on that, and we create a plan, and we don't deviate it. And then later on, once we present that software to the customer say that, okay, I didn't ask for those things. Okay, so that's where this VUCA ambiguity is also there. There are always ambiguous, until and unless we don't discuss, we don't interact in between, we don't produce working software, and we get review from the customer, we show it to the customer, and we present it to the we deploy it to the like end user, to the production for the end user, and we are not getting any feedback. So it's a high chance that like later on will deviate from the actual requirement. And like previously, like contract negotiation is fine, definitely we need to be, but modern days contract are really very different. It's not for a time or like time base, or it's a different, it's kind of a whenever you deliver, and you will get like paid off. So that's how we need to negotiate our contract, like and we need to make sure that, and in some projects we are bound to have like very waterfall kind of contract. That's fine, but like in that's okay, but like still we need to negotiate, we need to collaborate with the customer in between. And there must be some clause which need to be there, that in any adjustment is there, so that how to deal with those adjustments, because that is really important. Because the fourth point is responding to change or following a plan. So okay, you follow a plan, and follow whatever comes, and you stick to the plan. So that sometimes it's most of the time it is not good. And whenever any change come in between, and you have to like response, and you need to upgrade yourself. So that is really important. So having a planning is really very important. And sometimes what happened, that people feel that agile manifesto is against the planning, and that's where the chaos comes. So everybody thinks that whenever work comes in, so you just need to you just need to start working on without thinking, and work, work, and then like once you deliver, it will be a disaster. So that's why like for we it's not like a chaotic situation. We must have plan, but the plan will be different, like um, and it's a very complex kind of planning. It's not like waterfall planning is also complex. But what happened, that we think about each and every detail in the start. So instead of that, like it's called a rolling wave planning, and you have to start with some plan, and then what you will do, you will try to like whenever things comes up, you will try to improve your plan. And like what it suggests, that don't plan for too much details and wait for the details, and high level plan you will create. And you will always um, keep it like open for any change. When any change comes in, you make sure that you respond to that change and update your plan. That's how the product roadmap is built. Like you have some kind of a visibility that you will work on these features next year, or next 3 months. But if something comes up, like let's suppose if some event comes up, or anything comes up, and in between you got any requirement, you definitely, because if you don't change and you don't really work on those areas, your competitor may work, and he will get the advantage. So all these are like points are for your competitive are increasing your competitive advantages. So that's what they say. This is while there is a value in the items on the right. Okay, the items on the right are also valuable, but we value the items on the left more. So that is the that was the agile manifesto. um, and like modern days, if you watch cricket, if cricket fans are here, so you can say that like previously it was like everybody have a plan, that they will go open, and then next, and then next, and then next. And nowadays, like they always respond. Like if you need a quicker runs, you always after 3 4 wickets, you always and 5 6 overs left, so you always come up with a plan B, which is like bring in some hitter, or pinch hitter, or those kind of things are there. Like same like in cricket, you plan, you have a strategy, and then whenever there is any change according to the match situation, you respond, and that is a beneficial. Okay, so this is my definition of agility. How I think the agility is. So agility is a readiness from our attitude, mindset, and skill set. When there is any impact of change occurs either inside or outside the system. So agile says that you need to be ready. So you're planning, when you're planning, you need to be ready with and open for change. It's not like that. From mindset, you need to be open that anything comes up. Also, you need to think about those changes, what can come up, what could come up. So based upon your previous experience, and based upon, so you always need to be ready, or you need to improve yourself. So let's suppose if someone gets sick, so your plan may change in your team, and you always need to think about those backups and how team will react, whatever you can do. So how uh, the if you ready more, it will be good. If you ready less, and that is not good for you. And attitude, mindset, and skill set as well. Like sometimes what happen, if you don't let's suppose if you are working on a team of mobile app development, and you have like one iOS person working in the team, and another one is working as a like Android, and you don't have any backup. So anything comes up, and anybody is, so that's how you can make a a multi-skill team. But also you'll try to improve the skills of the team as well. So skill set is really important, how you design your team. So how you ready, if you have more work, or something like that, so you can introduce at least two people, two people from each skills, or you can train people, and you can hire people who can work on, sometimes if required they can work on more skills. So that's how you make sure that skill set is really very important. Because after agile manifesto and scrum background, like some people think that whenever we implement the process and it will work. No, um, we need skillful people as well. So, and if any change comes in and we are ready with all of these things, we'll respond better. Okay, let's move to next slide. Okay, so this is our main. Sorry, this is our main slide, and I'll talk about planning. Before that, like I'll give you a background or a recap what we have done. So we talk about VUCA. So and uncertainties. So whenever we are planning and we think that and nowadays we are really very in very hurry, and that's where like we think about chaotic, and anything comes up, and then we just react, and we always react and we work, and that's how somehow we need to organize as well. So Scrum comes up with the organization, and Agile comes up with this kind of adaptability mindset, and the attitude of adaptation as well, and continuous learning. So those things comes up and solve our problem. So that's why VUCA is all about uncertainty, and how you make sure those uncertainty and chaotic converted into the um, 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 plan or dates, because like sometimes our management or customer or end user expect something need to be happen on some date, and we have to provide those dates. So if we are talking about that everything is uncertain and we don't know, so we cannot work like that. We always come up. So that's where the Scrum Master or product manager and the leadership comes in, and it's their job to make sure the if the input is uncertain, so output needs to be better. It's need to be measurable, or we can say that it's kind of a uh, like uh, proper dates need to be there. So how can they do it? So there are some points which we'll discuss, and we'll see that how can we make sure to create better planning, and remove the chaos from that, and also have the flexibility of adapting things whenever they come. So I see that sometimes what happens, there's a lack of refinement, or lack of planning, because we always in a very hurry. Whenever we start a sprint, we always say that, if not working in a Scrum, so if we want to start work, we always jump into the solution. So like nowadays, if I ask about anything, like I experienced one thing, that if you are interviewing someone, especially in engineers, if you ask something, they always come to the solution. So instead of like thinking, okay, what is the problem and what it is, they always come to the implementation. So that is the problem. We always need to plan first. We always need to think what we are doing first. So lack of refinement means, usually, I saw that some teams, what they do, they always keep things not ready until the planning start. Let's suppose if you are working in a Scrum and sprints, so sprint planning session is not for these ambiguity, and there must be some other sessions, refinement backlog refinement sessions need to be there earlier, prior to the planning. So everything need to be clear. Once you come in the planning, you you need to aware that what actually the work is, what are the acceptance criteria, what is expected from me after working on this, and what effort required to do it. And in planning, you just need to make sure that all the dependencies are there, and visible to everyone, and those dates need to be there when it will be expected to resolve. And then like you need to just everybody needs to make sure whatever the part I'm working on, I need to be able to be deliver at the end of the sprint. And as a whole team, we can deliver, and based upon team capacity, team can bring the stories inside the sprint. So but lack of refinement, you come up with the uncertainties, and like even if you bring, you don't know when you will be delivered. You don't have those dependencies, because you never refine them, or never you did some kind of a research prior to that. So that is really very important factor. Other than that, like velocity is really very important for planning. um, Why velocity? Because most of the people think that this is velocity is for team performance. So actually it's not for team performance. If and like this is a misconception that if two different teams are working on, so one five member and one have six members, so six members should have more velocity. It should not be like this. So velocity is just a tool for planning. So like what you do, you always think about you see last 3 4 5 sprints, and you see that how much work team is capable to do, and definitely you make sure the right amount of work inside you bring from the backlog into the sprint backlog, and you make sure that team is not over capacity or under capacity. So that is really very important factor. And like prioritize prioritizing really very helps, and also um, so anything can change in between. So we see the agile manifesto, we say that anything can come up, so anything can come up within the sprint as well. So scrum guide doesn't say like this. That is really very bookish, and some people very strict to that, and they think that if we bring something in, and that will be against scrum. So that's why we have to be agnostic, and we have to find out the kind of in between, and we need to find out what is better for us. But there are two school of thought, or we can say the three school of thought. There are two extremes and one in between. They are the one who are doing really good. So the one who are totally against of something bringing up in between the sprint, and the another one they say that okay, anything can be thrown up, and that can be automatically adjusted, and let's see how team react. And that is really very difficult, because team is currently working on something, and new things comes up, and all plan fail, they will not able to complete the one which come up, and the one also they were working prior to that. So how to do it? So I'll advise you how to do it. Definitely make sure that when if anything comes up in between the sprint, let's measure. Let's do a small session and measure it. And let's suppose if it requires 5 effort, so you make sure that anything which on which team didn't start their work, that need to be removed or exchange. And if anything team is currently working on, and if anything they are working on, and you need to replace it with that one which is not that important, so you need to find out the impact analysis. You need to do Team needs to come up with the impact, that when once we remove this and we bring this new work, so what will be the impact, and what can be done. So that need to come back to the product management team, and they can decide that okay, whether they will come up with the new change or not. If those data are there, sometimes what happens, I see some very generic terms, developers are comes with that okay, this will do this, this will do this. So that analysis is small, time analysis, half an hour or 15 20 minutes. They need to come up with the impact, that what would be the impact, what will be the impact on the product, what would be the impact on the other stories currently in the sprint. And then they need to bring it up with the product management, and they can decide very easily whether they want this change in between the sprint, or they just okay with this to come again and again. We need to think that what is our sprint size or duration. Why? Because if let's suppose if we have 1 week of sprint, and mostly we have things comes up in the second sprint, so those changes are need to be tackled, but we need to be make sure that those are not frequent, because if they are really very frequent, it will impact the delivery cycle. So that's why this is important. So product management team needs to, if something is really very important, they need to work prior the sprint. If anything comes up in between, and if it is coming every sprint, and let's suppose if they have 2 weeks of a sprint, and every second week they are coming with some changes. So definitely team needs to think about changing their sprint duration, that need to be reduced to one week. Also we need to think that like team is capable of really delivering in one week or not, because like some of the dependencies are like that. Some teams cannot bring the whole working software or the changes working within the one week. So that's all we need to decide. We need to keep balance between the how frequent the things are changing and how frequent a team can deliver. So and if there are more frequent changes, let's move to Kanban. But so those like we need to think beyond the process, and we need to think about more about like how people are working, how is the nature of the project, and then we may have a lot of solutions, uh, and we can try and whatever works for us. Okay, so we talk about frequency of change as well. Also, there is one more thing which mostly teams missing. I think most of the team miss this, like sprint roadmap. So we have a product roadmap, which is like we know that what we are going to work a whole year or 6 months or 3 months um, in a product. Okay, but what about the sprint roadmap? So actually sprint planning is part of has two parts. So one part is that like the original work need to be decided, that okay, this amount of work need to be done. And so that is one thing. So team pulled some work, let's suppose, and they start working on. So what happened that in between they have some challenges. Let's suppose if two developers are working, one is back end and one is front end, and they need to make the functionality ready. So that back end developer may not start the work because he has another work. So he may work on the last days of his sprint. So that front end guy got blocked. And like on last day, once he get the response, okay, he can work by walking, and he can do some work, but he cannot test. Like QA cannot test on last day. It is really very risky. So that's how like team needs to sit together and create inside the roadmap that okay, we decided that these 10 items will work on. So that is expected on second day, that is expectation of third day. Some kind of a roadmap they need to create, all the dependencies they need to discuss with each and everyone, and they need to identify. So that is really very important factor. um, Okay, so team readiness. So team readiness is really very important. So we always need to find out that because after planning session, the team is ready. So like the suggestion is that like we can vote for fist of five. So like if everybody is more toward four or five, it means team have the confidence. Team brought some work and they don't have much uncertainty on how they will do it. And dependencies, if they already discussed, they already know the dates, they already know who will work on. So ambiguity need to be like sometimes what happened that nobody knows that it's a part of a sprint, but nobody knows that who will work on. So those ambiguity expectation need to be clear. So that's how like team will be confident, then it will be a better planning. Also push versus pull mechanism is really very important to speed up. So because like sometimes team can take decisions better. So definitely that will be not like beyond team cannot bring uh, like something which is like not in the priority list. Definitely your backlog needs to be designed that way that things are on the top are more priority than the things at the bottom. But sometimes when team have this autonomy to pull item instead of pushing to them, we saw the better results of planning. So that's where like absence of autonomy is there. So team needs to they need to decide what they need to do. So in that case, like sometimes what happens, some decisions are there in between the sprint, in planning session, and anywhere. So teams, if team decided and team have the autonomy to take some decisions, some sort of decisions, the architecture or design level or tool selection or anything like that, team can better work, and their quality of work will be increased. So autonomy is really very important for that, and those decisions, if it is pending by some managers or their managers, and like some IT people and all of them, so it requires a lot of time, and meanwhile will be too late to do such thing, or respond to the team. So that is really very important. Shaky confidence is almost about the team readiness, and uh, that is also, if the team confidence is not that good, maybe because of the like lack of refinement, or too much dependencies, third party dependencies. So if you are come up if you start a sprint with the third party dependencies, it's a high chance that you will you have to drop those work. So in those cases, you need to make sure that initial phase, you come up with the first sprint, you will wait for the like that dependencies to be resolved, and once it is resolved, you can bring that item to the next sprint. So, and if it is really very important, so definitely we need to push harder to resolve those dependencies. So leadership need to come and help people over here. So other than that, definition of done is not defined. So okay, so there's a difference between acceptance criteria and definition of done. Is that like definition of done is it's overall team definition of done, because sometimes for some teams, especially the team working for support or Kanban, they need to resolve the issue, and they need to release the code within a day, and like everything needs to be on production to the end user within a day. So their definition of done of work is once they start work till the production is the definition of done. But some teams, they have definition of done is like that, once the QA verified, so task will be completed, and once it's moved to staging, then task is completed. So that's the difference of definition of done. But some teams, they have definition of done like this: once the developer complete, and some developers, they keep complaining, and I saw some managers or director level people as well, they have this mindset that developer did their own task, and that can be called done. So that should not be a definition of done at all. At least definition of complete should be there. So anything need to be considered complete once the testing is complete, or it is released at least to the. So but the definition of done, it's based upon the team itself, the nature of the work. And acceptance criteria is with the each and every user story. So it's not a team definition, it's actually it's an acceptance level of a user story. So if, let's suppose, if one user story is there, and the acceptance criteria, we write about that after doing these steps, we'll make sure that the story is complete. So um, yeah, so these are the points I have discussed. So um, I think, yeah, all points I covered. Any question answers? Am I there?
I'm here. Sorry for that. I was on a mute.
Uh, oh,
All right,
sorry.
folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. And if you have any other questions and queries, don't worry about it. Reach out to him by your QA section, and he will be able to give you that insights apart from all the things, because I know Scrum Master is not everybody's in. Okay, your voice is not clear, Vishwas. Okay, okay. Sorry for that. I was muted. Like I muted myself. Sorry for that. So yeah, just go ahead. Just go ahead. Ask him as many questions as you can. And also, do not worry about where any doubt that is not a scrum master's perspective. Everybody is a scrum master to an extent. Like if you're a developer, you still do a lot of scrum. So don't worry about it. You can ask him as many questions as you can, and feel free to connect with him soon. So thank you so much, folks. This is Vishwas Nayan ending the broadcast. Thank you so much, Waji sir, for being on the show. Means a lot.
Thank you, Vishwas. Thank you very much for inviting me. And thank you, everyone who
Sure,
joined.
sure, sir.